What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the North Leeds Jitz podcast. I don't know what episode of the show because it's been so long since we've done one. I find there's probably a good correlation to how busy I am and how few podcasts come out.
It's the first one to get dropped off the list, isn't it? Which is, we just said literally just off air, like we've missed doing them because it's a great chance for us to chat. Yeah. But also I know a lot of people value it, so we'd like to bring it back.
It's like one of my favourite bits of the week usually. So you can believe if there isn't a podcast, I'm probably just as disappointed about it as hopefully you are.
I mean, you haven't even had time to shave. That's how busy you are. Big beard.
Looking like very scruffy. So today we're going over some MOT feedback, which is our members' opportunity to talk. So they've given, so if you're not a member and you're watching this, about some forums usually twice a year for members to the kids and the adults to just give some feedback on how they're finding their experience at the academy. What I will say, as I always get a bit embarrassed about this, kind of harkens me back to doing classics at school. I hate reading stuff out because I'm dyslexic, and if I screw stuff up or I'm stumbling over my words, just try and bear with me. But we're going to start out, we're going to split it. So if you're just interested in, say, the kids stuff, we'll probably do that first. And if you're interested in the adult stuff, just check in the description of the podcast and there'll be a little timestamp of when all that stuff starts, so you can just skip ahead. All right, Professor Mike.
Yo.
I just want to go over a quick overview of, like, really briefly, just some stats, and then we'll go into the individual responses. We're not going to give people's names out because that was more for us to get back to people if we need to. Yeah. But we don't know if they want that to be public or private information. All right, so let's go straight in with, it's more stuff for us, this one, but people might be interested. Just some statistic stuff around how long has kids been members with us. The biggest one, response-wise, was 6 to 12 months at 27%, and we had 11% of people with us over 3 years, which is awesome.
That's amazing.
How would you rate GBK coaches and their ability to engage with and positively impact your child? 66.7% rated us at 5 stars, with another 22% at 4, which is great.
There's a couple there a little bit lower.
A couple a little bit more lower. One person at 2, one person at 3. What I would say is we didn't get as massive amount of responses on these ones, but we kind of see that as a positive, because, at least I see it as a positive, because people are either going to give you feedback when you're doing like exceptionally well, or they're very new to a service, or you've done something wrong and they want to let you know about it. So
no news is good news, man. That's the way it works.
Doing okay.
I think it's just worth reflecting on that. Like with the expansion of the kids' timetable now to be the largest in Europe, which we're really, really proud of, and T delivered that for us. We've inevitably had to bring in more coaches. So we've now got 14 lead coaches. We've got probably 30 or so assistant coaches who give up their time every week to help your child. There's always going to be, it's never going to be perfect. And there's people in different places on that kind of pathway, right? Some have just started coaching and perhaps they're not able yet to deliver that service we want. And there's some who will be very experienced. So give them time, Yeah,
and there's probably something that parents don't know is there's like a little graduation point where a couple of coaches are getting to that point now where, for the kids, where I will allow them to then give a kid's belt promotion. So right now it's myself, Kev and Danny who give that, but we've also got Alex who's really close and Coach Sophie who are really close because they're leading those sessions confidently now and they're getting to know those kids a lot better, and kind of at a tipping point where they know those kids better than anyone else because they're in those sessions. That's kind of when that happens. So, and we've got a few coaches below them still, like Joe and Rock, and they're getting on well.
If there is any specific feedback on individual coaches, and don't wait until the MOT twice a year. Like, come and speak to Soaps, come and speak to me, come and speak to T, because we'd want to deal with it straight away. Something you're not happy about, just come and speak to us, please, because we want to address that first and foremost.
How would you rate our customer service? 77% of people rated us at 5, another 16 at 4, and we had one person rated us at 2.
I'll take that. We work really hard on that, don't we?
Yeah, and I think, over the next coming 6 months, we've got like a whole lot of other service-based things coming in, so it's so I think it can only get better. How comfortable are you approaching our coaches or team members with any questions and concerns? 55% at 5, 16% at 4, 16% at 3, and 2 people put it at 2. I'm going to skip through some of these because I think it's just a bit data heavy. On a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your child's overall experience at GBRL? 66% at 5, and then 16 at 4. So in general, statistics-wise, like generally pretty good. So now we're going to move into talking about some individual responses. I'm just going to obscure the name here. So it's my child is enjoying attending jiu-jitsu on Monday afternoons. The coaches do a great job bringing her out of her shell and getting her involved. As quiet as she may seem, she's always buzzing before and after, which is awesome. Thank you. And we've got someone who didn't write anything for that. Joining the GBRL community has been the best thing we have done for our boys. It helps build their confidence and skills. They look up to other team members and their coaches, which is fantastic role modeling for teenage boys. This person says, a family session would be great. I want to sign up, but I would have no one to watch my tiny champion.
So we do a parents and kids class on a Saturday morning, right?
We do a parents and kids study hall on a Saturday morning. One day I'd love to have like a taught parents and kids class, but I think it's probably a little way off.
Yeah, we've also talked about, our aspirations in the next 3 years to be able to offer like an after-school provision potentially that bridges the gap between kids leaving school and starting their classes. Obviously, it requires us to have a lot more staff and systems and safeguarding in place. But I think something like that, an ability for a child to be looked after by someone so you can go train. A bit like they do at David Lloyd, right? They've got the creche.
Creche, yeah.
I'm not certain we can have a creche in here, but certainly something along those lines I'd like to see if we can do. Because, if your child's doing jiu-jitsu, you've got to get into it too, because it's a lovely thing to share. I've got personal experience in that, sharing it with my son, and it's a great thing to do together.
This one says, I love the idea of holiday camps. Fitting my child's extracurricular activities around my work schedule is difficult. A holiday camp during school holidays would provide an excellent opportunity for him to develop BJJ skills further. Yeah,
so on that, we're going to launch something this summer. It'll be a trial. It'll probably last for 5 days, and most likely will be a half-day camp. Now, we've got 2 choices here. We can either run like a daycare service, or we can run like a BJJ camp, and that's the thing we're going to start to try and do first. So this would be aimed at GBRL members, so there's an added benefit of being a member that you've got that provision that you can use, and it will be around making your child better at jiu-jitsu and keeping them active and keeping them engaged in the process. So we're excited to launch that. We want to do it in kind of baby steps. We're very lucky to have Soaps as the academy manager, because she's of course got over a decade years of experience teaching, and so it'll be done really well. We just need to resource it properly. We just need to tidy up a few loose ends.
Okay, so this person's left quite a long comment. I'm going to break it down to 2 sections. Just bear with me while I'm reading it. We were disappointed that the kids' classes were significantly reduced in time with the new timetable, even though their membership was increased, price increased. They went from having an hour class with 15 minutes live training to 45-minute class. Unsure if they still do live training. It doesn't seem like they do. The children have definitely not enjoyed classes as much now the juniors and teens class has been separated. Community and training partners is a big part of jiu-jitsu for anyone, so this did have an impact on the kids' overall experience. They do enjoy being coached by Coach Sam. I think he's a great coach and a role model, especially for the kids. So that one is tough, and I appreciate the feedback. For us, it was already a bit of an unfair system with the hour-long juniors and teens class, because the Saturday class was a 45-minute class. So it was at one point, and it changed fairly rapidly really, where there was an hour class on a Tuesday and a 45-minute class on a Saturday. So there was already a bit of disparity in the fairness of if you were just training once a week, which we're not really going to offer too much anymore, but in how your child would train. And then a little later on, when we started to add in Thursday night classes, which not too long ago really, we decided we'll match it to the Tuesday, so we did the hour. And then probably 6 months before we actually just decided to make the timetable change, we added on like a 15-minute gap for live training. The price increase didn't really have much to do with us adding more sessions on or increasing like live training sessions. That was just a fact of like our service overall had massively changed since when we pretty much first opened, and the price changes, especially with inflation, like needed to reflect that. And I thought the fairest thing to do is just to match all the kids so they have the same amount of teaching time. So it doesn't matter whether your kid trains on a Saturday or a weekday, everyone gets a 45-minute session. In terms of live training, in that 15 minutes, they would usually get 3, maybe 4 rounds. And in both classes, if you're in the advanced classes, you still get 15 minutes of live training, so you'll still get the rounds. And I know parents are really, they love the rounds. Basically, that's,
yep.
As the kids do as well. So, I thought it was really important to make sure, when we started, there wasn't really a live training aspect, even though, the price was the same.
Well, we offered the addition of live training at no extra cost, right? Like you were getting 15 minutes extra for free every time.
Then in the normal classes, they still live train, and I mandate it to all the coaches that they need to try and offer 3 2-minute rounds. In LC1 and the youngers, it's a 1-minute round. But even in competition, it's a 3-minute round for I think 7 years old and up. So they're getting up to that level. Additionally, if your child really likes to compete, we've added in a lot more time in our competition team schedule. There's like 9 hours a month of training, which is predominantly live training. It's not a taught class, it's ready for competition. So if you want them to get more live training time, there's a whole bucket of it in the week for that. So I appreciate, and I'll pass on to Coach Sam, how much of a good coach I think he is, which is awesome. In terms of separating out and the community feel, it's just something that I feel like we had to do. Well, maybe not had to do, but it was just the right thing to do. We had kids who were, very much of a kid size, like a very much child, and we had kids who were adult size. We've got Big Lewis in juniors and teens, who's 80 kg and 6 foot. And we had like Tom Croston when he was here, like 6'3", and we'd have a kid who's like elbow height. To me, it didn't look right to me. And of course, kids who have been training here long and they've established friends across a wider age group might suffer in the short term, but they're going to make new friends in the new classes. And to be honest, a lot of those kids are in the comp team anyway, where it's a mixed group, so they still get to hang out with their older friends or younger friends. But I really think it was the right thing to do, and I'm having watched, a month, almost 2 months now of those juniors and teens classes being split. It was just such obviously like the right thing to do.
It was the thing we wanted to do from the very beginning, if you remember. But the only reason we look, we follow the global system and the program for Gracie Barra because there's over 1,000 schools worldwide, and the structure is one of our real strengths around the curriculum and the program. The reason we had juniors and teens together is it was purely from the beginning just a resource thing, right? Like we just couldn't have that many coaches.
Yeah.
It was always our aspirations to have it split because it's better for them, and we wanted smaller jumps in the ages to be able to keep that progression going.
Yeah.
I do accept though that for some children who've built close friendships with people and then they're taken away, that's very much like your child going to high school and finding yourself in a class with none of your primary school mates. It is difficult. So if there's anything we can do to help that, we're going to start bringing in more socials. So the summer gathering is a great opportunity for your child to come back and meet their friends again. And then we'll do some more activities throughout the year to make sure there is opportunities. Of course, there's bonfire night coming up. We'll always sponsor that with Roundesians. But I do recognise that. And I feel sorry for any child who feels like they're not seeing their friends.
So the second half of this person's comment, I also thought it wasn't great how the kids competition team was cancelled for the Sula seminar. The kids competition classes charged extra for their membership, and the seminar was also a paid event. This means it was already costing £16 for both children to not be able to attend, but then it would cost £40 for both children to attend the seminar. Surely a discount/comp team kids could go free. Should have applied if you felt it necessary to cancel KCT. The children who have already paid for training that evening. Although we value Jiu-Jitsu for the children, the reality is that it's expensive, so unless people could afford the seminar, the kids couldn't train, which seemed a bit tone deaf. I imagine a lot of parents can't afford extra, and I think additional paid seminars shouldn't come in the way of their training. It's different for adult members because they have unlimited memberships. They can train whenever they want. So for this one, I want having Sula as someone who is tip of the spear in terms of women's jiu-jitsu, competing at ADC this year. I really wanted to offer something just to our kids competition team, but the only guaranteed time in the week where I know all kids from the kids competition team can train is during the kids competition team class. Now, KCT for a kid right now costs £10 a month for potentially, like I said earlier, like 9 hours of training, which I think is like beyond a steal.
Well, it's underpriced.
Yeah, massively underpriced. And for the kids, like, well, I won't mention names, but many of those kids who really are very competitive, is a massive opportunity for them, great experience to be coached by someone that isn't me or Kev or Frosty or Sam. And they came away loving it. And I think investing like £20 into having an hour and a half of a really experienced person's time who can talk from experience about going to compete on a world stage, like for 20 quid, I think, expense is relative, but value is what it is. And I think that was definitely had a lot of value to it. In terms of like having a discount, we did put a discount on for the kids comp team. So it was, £5 less than what we charged for the adults. And, ultimately for us, we would love to put on seminars for free for members if we were at that kind of state where we could do that. But this is a business, and Sula's coaching is a business, and she charges us 4 figures for that kind of seminar. It's not something that we can just wholly take on the burden. And we made a loss on the seminar, so we did. In a way, we kind of gave you a bit of a discount on it to facilitate it happening. So I appreciate that jiu-jitsu can be expensive and those kind of things, 100%. I think we did the best that we could given the circumstances.
Yeah, and look, I think the overriding thing for me is giving children opportunities. You don't know which child in that group would have been to that experience and it really resonated with them. I know from experience, seminars tend to be the things you remember from your jiu-jitsu journey, the things you learn the most from. You're with a different coach, you're with a world level competitor. It's a phenomenal opportunity for any child to just be around that person, particularly the girls, right? Like to have that strong female role model. It's fantastic. So I'm all for it. To T's point, we're a business as well. We can't put on free seminars. I think if we offered a discount, it's probably what we could do. I do accept, though, that for the kids who couldn't afford it, and then they had to miss their training. So I do understand that point, and perhaps in the future we'll work around that a bit better, because it'd be unfair to penalise children who can't afford to come. One thing we are looking to do in the future, which we've spoken about quite a few times, is set up our own foundation where we can fundraise through different activities and events to create a pot of money which we can then use to help specifically underprivileged kids experience jiu-jitsu. And that might be an area that we say, okay, well, we'll use a pot of that to put on a free seminar for the kids, for all the kids. But we're not there yet. It's something in the background that we want to do, but we want to make sure over the second half of this year we're consolidating and doing the very best we can do. So I think it's a fair comment. We did our best.
Next one, I feel coaches do a great job keeping the children engaged and interested whilst helping them develop their skills with easy to follow demonstration and instruction, which is great. That's what I like to hear. Next one, didn't leave a particular comment.
If they're positive, T, I reckon we just skim them.
Roger. We've only got 4 more.
Not that we're not grateful for
Yeah.
them, but I think it's more important to focus on the constructive ones.
So this is a longer one. LC1, there was a leader attached to a group of kids, so no one was left unsupervised. After watching an LC2 class, there were more pairs of children than leaders. It was challenging to keep an eye on each pair. Consequently, the execution/practice within the pair was less coordinated. Some kids were deliberately being difficult in the practice, which created a less pleasant feeling between the pair. My son walked away disillusioned. Let's just say not everyone has the team spirit to be a supportive partner. Practicing with the coaches doesn't make sense either due to the size differences. So ideally there should be more coaches within the class to monitor the pairs, or they should go back to groups per coach. The latter has the downside of less practice time as you have to wait your turn in the group. So I understand there is no ideal solution. However, I hope this is helpful and I want my son to continue with this community.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. I imagine this is someone who's gone from an LC1 and aged up into LC2 with the class changes. So ratios-wise, for like kids' activities, is one that is heavily monitored and studied, and here, especially right now, we have like a big surplus of coaches where. 1-to-4 ratios is not uncommon, and even less right now. So when a child moves from LC1 to LC2, it is a big jump because they do go from training on the coach to training with partners. But there is skills that are not necessarily jiu-jitsu skills that come a part of that, of like just the case of, right, find your partner. Like that is a confidence skill that they're going to try to learn. Communication with that partner and understanding how to be a good training partner. These are all skills that the kids are developing when they're doing that. So and I totally agree with this person. Like sometimes there are the odd child or two that are difficult training partners.
And adults.
Yeah.
People, right?
Difficult training people. And that, as coaches, especially lead coaches, we try our best on keeping a bit of an eagle eye out for that. And sometimes when we learn jiu-jitsu techniques, kids don't oftentimes understand how much resistance to put in compared to like if it's a day one person and they're learning a skill for the first time, it's gonna be very little to no resistance that you put in. You're basically just a body for them to drill in. And sometimes kids can't understand that and they're like, well, I'm just gonna resist it hard, and you kind of got to communicate to them and help them understand. And that's our job as coaches to do that. And we do try our best with that. And every so often, like a parent and the 10-minute meetings we had recently just like brought up a child to me, and then that helps a lot because we can keep a bit of a better eye on it. So if you want to feed back into us to help us see, that's always great.
Well, yeah, one thing we'll make sure we do is empower. Well, we do empower our coaches, but I think be a bit more proactive as lead coaches in speaking to parents if children are not being cooperative, because it does have an impact. And it's unfair, isn't it? You bring your child to the class, they're looking forward to it, and then they partner with somebody who isn't on the same wavelength as them or doesn't want the same thing. So we can be a bit more hot on that. I think from a ratios point of view, like it would be an unrealistic expectation to expect us to have a 1-to-2 ratio. Like you're not going to go anywhere else and have that. Not even in swimming, not even in gymnastics, like nothing. So
that's personal training at that point.
It's personal training, right? So you would pay a premium for that. If you want to have a private class, that's different. So I think, we work to way above NSPCC standards in terms of ratios for children for age groups. I think it's 1-to-8, if I remember rightly, at that age group, or certainly 1-to-6. And we're definitely above that. And we're really proud of that. But I do accept that it is, for a child to walk away disillusioned with the session, that's not what we want. So we will speak to our coaches and we'll make sure we're a bit hotter on dealing with poor behaviour.
Summer/school holiday camps at a reasonable price would be a game changer. Please could we consider making the Friday comp class mainly gi now? We have no gi on Saturdays, as over a month kids would do more no gi than gi, attending both. Just a thought. Massive thanks for the continued support and development of my children. I've seen lots of little improvement since last feedback, and it feels clear there's an intention to keep improving the child's experience and development. Really grateful for this. Signed off by his name. So I'll suggest the comp team one. So yeah, the Friday comp team will switch to be primarily gi. I will still throw in the occasional no-gi session, probably weather depending or just competition depending, because of the time disparity. So Friday is an hour and a half, whereas Saturday is 45 minutes. But yeah, it'll change from being alternating weeks, which is what it is now, gi no gi, to probably like gi no gi or something like that. We know one a month, and what I'll probably tell to the kids comp team is just bring your no gi shorts just in case it's a hot August Friday and we want to do some no gi that day, and keeps things a bit fairer, like this person said. And then school holiday camps, as we mentioned earlier, is something we've been really pushing hard for, I don't know, about over a year now to try and implement logistically it's tough, but we are putting on, I think, 2 weeks this year, which just bear with us on communicating now. It might even be out before this comes out.
Can I just make a broader point on the development of the kids? So, we work really hard in the background, T leads on the kids program, to ensure that we're not just teaching your child Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we're developing them as a person. You'll appreciate, hopefully, our values-led curriculum, which is a slight differ from Gracie Bar globally. In fact, it's an enhancement of it, I believe, with the badges and the stickers and the recognition. And so I'd ask all parents, I'm sure you do this anyway, but certainly I'd do this with my kids, to see in the round their development. How much more confident are they? How much more cooperative are they? How much more disciplined are they at home? I'd like to think that we talked about their percentage of kids being with us for 3 years. That 11% of kids, if they've been here for 3 years, they're going to be good kids, because we don't accept kids who aren't disciplined in class. We don't accept poor behaviour. We don't accept poor manners. And so hopefully we're adding value to your child's overall development, and that's ultimately what we're here to do, right?
Yeah, and on a non-values development, I had a role with Sam Dawson on last Friday. And man, it was a tough role. And I was like, I went to Steve, I think the following day, I was like, I had a role with Sam yesterday, and I was like, he's an absolute killer with like 3 years of training. I'm like, just turned this kid into an absolute murderer of jiu-jitsu, which is awesome. So this person kind of says, very clicky atmosphere. Teachers seem to be more interested in chatting to each other than looking whether their kids understand what are being asked to do. More attention given to those who are interested in competitions than those just wanting to learn. Teaching styles vary a lot, particularly with the younger coaches who look like they are just there to get bonus points with their coaches rather than wanting to teach. Club has gone downhill in the last 6 to 9 months. That's always a tough one to hear. So, clicky atmosphere. I'll probably try to get back in touch with this person and ask particularly what they mean by that.
Do we know the individual?
So
we're not going to name them.
No, but they've left. So everyone gave their emails so we could get back in touch with them.
Right.
So that would be interesting to hear more about how they see that. Parents might start to see it come in. We've changed the words "the week" to align with the club's values, which for parents you'll see it on the badges and the stickers, but for adults you can see it on the First Stripe guidebook when you first become a member. The guidebook here lists out like what our values are here at GBRL, and one of them, this word of the week actually, is inclusivity. Mm-hmm. So cliquey atmospheres aren't something that we tolerate here, and it's not something I've particularly noticed, whether in the kids program or the adults program. Certainly friends groups appear, but that's just nature of a team sport that happens over many years. But I've never seen anyone dismiss or not be inclusive to another kid because of any and I've not seen it. So
well, it won't be acceptable either. No. So I think we will reach back to this person, as T says, on an individual level to try and understand a little bit more about that, because it is if I may say, it's a comment that we don't hear much, if at all. So if someone has had that experience, we want to understand exactly why, because it's not common.
The next kind of point is teachers seem to be more interested in chatting to each other than looking whether the kids understand what are being asked to do. So that's something. It's again tough to hear. We do a lot of training with the assistant coaches and the lead coaches, and a lot of these guys and girls are our friends, and there will be just naturally a bit of chatter, between them, but I still think they do a great job of, when I'm leading a class, and part of leading a class is being able to take a outside person's perspective and lift yourself above the class. They can see the whole room rather than getting sucked into groups. And usually when I look around and it's a teaching portion of the class, for sure I see not coaches standing around, but coaches on their knees and lying on the floor trying to show kids like the angles of what they need to do. But it's definitely something, again, we can talk about with this person when I reach out to them, and I can keep a bit of an eye on just to see if they what they particularly mean. More attention given to those who are interested in competitions and just wanting to learn. Again, I think it would be interesting to see this person's perspective. Sometimes people, like the kids comp team, are particularly advanced within the academy, so sometimes they can accept more information. So sometimes a coach can spend a little bit more time with them because they can just understand and absorb more information, whereas a child who is just learning a triangle might only be able to accept and understand 2 details, and therefore they might not have it fully down, but that's just the process of learning jiu-jitsu as well. So again, I'll reach out to this person, we can speak more about it and understand what they mean and hopefully address these concerns.
Well, I mean, we definitely don't prioritise competition over anything else. Like, if you've been around this place for long enough, you will know that we don't mandate competition. We encourage it from a personal development point of view, but it's a very small part of what we do. It's a very thin slice of the community that competes. So we don't, if you were looking at the schedule and there was a competition class every day,
yeah,
fair enough.
Which there are at some schools.
Yeah, but it's twice a week.
Yeah. In terms of percentage of classes, like KCT takes up a very small part of things.
I think the other thing to say is and I don't know how often this parent's child trains, but if the child is in competition team, it's likely that they're doing that in addition to multiple times a week training. You're naturally going to build relationships on a deeper level with both your training partners and your coaches. If your child is only coming to us once a week, which we've actually seen, it can be a detriment to that child's development because they don't fit in. And I wonder if that's around the clicky thing, that this child doesn't really feel like they fit in. We'll have to dig into that. But one of the best things we can do is try and encourage our kids to come more regularly, right? Because they will naturally build richer relationships, and that will help in the long term.
And the last point they made was teaching styles vary a lot, particularly with the younger coaches who look like they are just to get bonus points with their coaches rather than wanting to teach. That one, I think I can shed some light on. Like, these are 8 to 14-year-olds who volunteer their time after school when they could be doing literally anything else to come and help your children develop. And if you saw how hard they work, if you ever want to take a look at their attendance cards, you can behind reception, and you can see how many hours they dedicate to being here. And then I get to see it because we run workshops for them regularly to help them develop their ability to teach and their ability to be better leaders and better communicators. And like, I don't want to mention names. Some kids go home and they're like, "Sorry, Mum, Dad, I need to get like an early night because I've got a business meeting tomorrow." And they take it that seriously. Kids have come in when they've been ill all week just because they don't want to let the class down and not be there to coach. So, like, bear with them a little bit. These are 8 to 14-year-old, 15-year-olds who are still kids themselves, putting themselves out there to be in front of a class, to help lead warm-ups, to help dot cards, to help teach. And I think if we all look back at where we were at 11 years old, would have we been as disciplined as they are? And take it with a pinch of salt. These kids are quite new to what they're doing, and they're given a lot as it is. So let's try not to be too harsh and too critical of them.
Yeah, we shouldn't be critical of them at all unless their behaviour's poor. And if it is, then you should raise it to us and we'll deal with it. But I don't accept that these kids are here just to get brownie points from T or from the coaches. Like, they just
They don't get anything.
They wouldn't do it. They don't get any brownie points.
There's no reward system for them right now.
Well, the reward system is the being part of the program and getting those workshops. It's not, they don't get paid, they don't get any freebies, they don't get nothing like that. And I think, look, what kind of community are we trying to create here? What kind of thing are we trying to create? We're trying to create children who want to help other people, because we know that as adults, if you've got that as your first priority to help others, you're a good person and you will have friends and you will succeed in life. And so we've got to give these kids a chance as well, right? They're young, like T said, they could be just sat on computer games all day. And perhaps this parent might like their child to be in a program like this. It's an additional piece of value that we offer for free, and we should be grateful for them. And we are.
Kid has absolutely loved his first 2 months with GBRL. The support and welcoming attitude from everyone has been so refreshing and welcomed. If I had any feedback on improvements, it would only be for the parent to understand how the stripes and badges work. In this way, we can continue to motivate at home. Other than that, really impressed with GBRL. Yeah, I totally agree. And thanks. That's like perfect constructive criticism there, I think. And, you know, I've been, well, over a year, I've been trying to build a guidebook for parents. So when they come into the academy, they can understand everything from attendance cards to age groups and common issues we have with age groups and things your kid will say to you at month 3 and things they'll say at 6 and how to support them and badges and values and the whole rigmarole of jiu-jitsu. And one day that will come out. Right now, I think we definitely can do a bit of a better job for, you know, onboarding parents and helping them understand whether that's something maybe that's not as perfectionist as that, as like a little meeting at the start, or, you know, more meetings with your coaches, which are things that we are trying to implement, and even like a little bit of a PDF document, I think could do a great job of helping communicate to new parents and existing parents how the stripes work, how the badges work.
I mean, I'd say if you've got a question, just ask us, please ask us, because we want to help. I would signpost parents to the posters around the academy because they articulate the program structure. We've got 2 right behind Coach T here by the neon belly sign about the belt system specifically, so you can see, you know, on average the time it would take for your child to progress. And that's a really good thing. We've actually placed the children's belt system poster at child height, so you can stand there with your child and look through it and say, okay, well, you're here, keep coming twice a week for the next month and you might get another stripe. Not guaranteed, but you might. And so, yeah, have a look around next time you're in. There's a uniform guide over there, there's the program structure over there, there's the attendance card over there, there's our values, there's core values. Have a look around. There's loads of information.
I had a person just mention that they really enjoyed the new structure of classes, and this person says, when my child got injured on the mat, we were given a lot of support from SOAPs. She checked in on my child to see if they were okay and was happy to allow us to freeze membership until they made a full recovery. Just wanted to take this moment to say we appreciate it, and she was brilliant, which is awesome. You know, injury, I think, is something that we, and safety is just something we take so seriously here, way beyond, I think, what anyone else could probably offer. You know, I think it's something we think about as like the first thing.
It's part of the new ICP as well, the instructor certification program globally with Gracie Baha, which we pay for all our coaches to go through. It's a long course, over 40 hours worth of content, and there's a specific section in there around safety. So all of our lead coaches are trained on that. All of them are safeguarded, with DBS checks regularly. All of them are first aid trained, and we do our very best, don't we, to keep them safe.
This person says, coaches to look at children who are not participating when training is being carried out one-to-one, as those kids tend to get bored. So yeah, probably that's similar as the last person who said when they move to LC2 and it's more one-to-one training, like some kids can get a bit distracted and things like that. So similar kind of responses. Person says, we're brilliant, doing a good job. And last one, the support all the coaches gave on the move up to LZ2, 24th of Jan, was absolutely excellent. It was a big step, but all the little things from Coach Way's message on the WhatsApp to the big bright hellos from Coach Dan and Coach T and others before the first class helped enormously. The Meet Coach T session has been really useful and successful, really liking the new groupings for the kids classes, but it's a shame there's no advanced class for LC2 on Saturdays. We appreciate why there isn't, but it feels like we miss out compared to children who do 2 midweek classes. Yeah, it's tough. Thank you so much for the really kind words, and I'd love it if we had it where we could have advanced classes on at every class, but there's limited spaces and limited times in the day, and I'd certainly welcome your child if you think they're ready for advanced classes. If we can slot them into a weekday session, then I'd love to have them in there too.
The schedule's probably as it's going to be for the foreseeable, right? Once we hit the 9th of August, we have the extra tiny champs class. That's the final piece of the jigsaw. You will not find, and I'm not just saying this, go and have a look, you will not find a more comprehensive children's program in jiu-jitsu in the whole of this country or continent even. You just won't find it. We have looked, we know these academies, we've checked out what they do. There's nowhere else like it. And we're super proud of it. There's going to still be gaps, right? Because we just can't train all day, every day. But I don't think we're going to be changing this timetable for a long time. No,
there are a couple tweaks which some parents have already been made aware of, just because the LC1 class, we found the LC1 advanced class just isn't necessarily a necessary class. We found a lot of the kids are just doing better in the normal class. So after speaking to some of the parents, we're probably going to annex the LC1 advanced, and we will maybe one day replace that with a separate class offering.
That's due to kind of child age development, isn't it? That they're just at that age, 5 and 6, they're just not quite ready to take on more detailed information.
Yeah, I think they just want to have a bit more fun, and rather than just the heavy technical information that jiu-jitsu can get into, and when you get into 7 plus, you become a bit more physically aware, and that's something why we did switch the LC2 to be 7 up, because beforehand we noticed that the 7-year-olds in LC1 were really wanting to get after it. Like all the 5 and 6-year-olds were kind of still wanting to play games and flipping turtles and that kind of thing, which means as soon as your child hits 7 now, they're ready to go.
Just one final thing on that around the Meet the Coach T thing. So we do this with adults. I sit down once a quarter and have meetings with students. T does it with parents. If you don't need to wait for that. If you have something you want to speak to us about, either at director level, or you want to speak to one of your lead coaches, or you want to speak to Soaps, our academy manager, or program director Nicola, whatever you want to do, if you want one-to-one time to understand something or to pass on feedback, please, please, please contact us, because we are always open and willing and excited to speak to our members. So don't wait for the opportunities to do that. Come and speak to us.
Okay, we'll take a very quick break, and then we are going to go into the adults program. Okay, so we're back with the adults part of the feedback, and there's obviously, as you answer the questions, there's quite a bit of data in there, but one of the more interesting ones was, how would you rate the quality of coaching you receive at GBRL? And we had a 75% of people put us at a 5, which was the top score, which is awesome. We had, let's see, how would you rate your connection to the community in GBRL? 62% rated at 5. We had a very interesting, split into thirds of this question, which is, each and every member's journey in Jiu-Jitsu is unique. What matters the most to you in terms of development? We had a third of people say regular attendance. We had a third of people say personal development, both on and off the mats. And we had a third of people say technical improvement and promotions. So interesting on that one. I had a question about goals. I had a quick read through these earlier. A lot of them are around consistency and progression. Some people with more like not as physical goals, as like being calmer and things like that. Someone just put just to roll. So this person's just rolling. Some people want to compete. A lot of people had like blue belts as their goals. Some people, their goal is to write goals onto the back of their card.
Yeah, the blue belt one, I mean, we're never going to get past that, are we? Because I get it. I do get it. But what's going to happen when you get your blue belt is my question. Nothing will change. You're not any better that day. So you're still going to struggle against people who you were struggling with at white belt. There's more pressure on you. with that coloured belt because there's a higher expectation from me and from T, from our coaches and from the community. I always say, enjoy the white belt years. I understand people want that first big step on the ladder of jiu-jitsu. I get it. But careful what you wish for. In my experience, the belt system is a guide. So it's basically a handicap system, right? That's the way I see it on the mat. So if you're rolling with a purple belt and you're a white belt, they're better than you. So the purple belt needs to, pull in a little bit. I think having a blue belt as a goal, I do get it. But I think it's, I want to say this in a kind way, but I think it's quite a shallow goal. Have the black belt as your goal. That'd be more interesting for me. I don't know what you think, T, but that's a goal that's going to take you 6 to 10 years to achieve. Anyone can do it. But that would really say that you're someone who never gives in, because one of the biggest jump-off points in jiu-jitsu is the blue belt. The blue belt blues, right? Because you get promoted, you're on a high, you come in training next week, guess what? You get beat by a 3-stripe white belt, and you think, I don't deserve this blue belt. And then you don't come for a few weeks, you get a knock, you get injured, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, I can't come back because the white belt's going to kill me and I'm a blue belt and I'm expected, and you leave. So yeah, careful what you wish for. Have bigger goals, I'd say.
Yeah, I think all the promotions you get on white belt are so fun and exciting. And blue belt's great, especially here because it's going to unlock the GB3 classes and all the timetables available to you. But I think it was just yesterday to Ben, I was just saying, there are people in the academy who are very competitive with each other around like stripes and promotions. Like Ben was saying, like to the point where they know like what date someone else got their last stripe kind of thing. God. And I was like, come on, there's no good promotions after blue belt. It's only more pressure, more expectations of you. And it's just more embarrassing if someone beats you up.
Well, that's a really good point. I'm like, why? I'm interested to know why someone would want to know when someone else was promoted, because what that's saying to me is you are comparing yourself to that person. There's a huge piece of vinyl writing as you walk out the door, and it's purposely put there, that says you should compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to someone else's today. Everyone's journey in jiu-jitsu is unique. Everyone's physical attributes are unique. Everyone's ability to learn and take in information is unique and different. Do not compare yourself to somebody else. It is a recipe for absolute disaster, and it does no one any favours. Just focus on what you can do.
So we'll move into the meat of it, which is the space below for any additional comments and feedback, which are pretty much wholly positive, and there's just a few points which some have already been addressed really. So I'm trying to skim over some of the more just wholly positive ones. The one thing that came up multiple times, I think there was probably a bit of a propaganda campaign going on, is there was a lot of comments for, I would love to see a GB2 option in the mornings, maybe one day a week. And that was reiterated probably 6 or 7 times.
Definitely propaganda. Someone's got muted on our hands.
In succession. So I think some people maybe made a second Gmail. So if you're watching this, you've probably, you've already seen that we've communicated out there will be a GB2 in the mornings. That was something that was always going to be the case. And, there'll probably be a GB3 one day too. It's that, we had a new cadre of coaches. We only have GB2 level is taught by a minimum of a purple belt, and bringing new new coaches in, whatever you belt, you kind of cut your teeth as a coach in GB1 because it's kind of the hardest class to teach really. So you really want to have someone who is available to teach, teach a GB1 because that's where you're going to really improve your coaching skills. On the more business side of things, the morning classes, having added so many on, spread the existing members out quite a lot, which meant they were low in population. And for us as a business, GB1 is the entryway for new students. So no one would enjoy a class if it's just you and like 2 other people. That's not, we can see that from attendance. Usually it'll hit a threshold and then it kind of fills the rest up. Like people like to go to busy classes. And kind of, I think just recently we've had, a little influx of new morning people. So it feels like it's the right time where we can take an opportunity for a new member to come in and replace it with something for our existing and more experienced members.
Yeah, they're all good points, mate. So there's now progression. If you can only come to morning classes, which is a very small slice of our population community, but it is still, there are certain people who struggle to come after work and stuff, I get it, families and stuff like that. So there is progression now, you can come to GB2. I would think in the future, as T says, there'll probably be a GB3, so you have options to come to all of those different programs. If there's 6 or 7 people who've raised this, then I expect to see 6 or 7 people in that GB2 class this Friday. That's all I'm saying.
This same comment as the GB2. More people in live training would be great. A high number of people at white belt don't seem to live train much. This shows that in their development and certainly their calmness in things like specific training. Not sure how you fix that, but maybe just getting the coaches to emphasize that if they would put things. The coaches to emphasize that it's where they will put things into practice. I also believe communication roles is something that needs to be told more, allowing less experienced students to think about and talk through what they want, I think, to do in roles.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I think it's good to communicate at the start of a role of what you want to try and achieve. And you're more than welcome to say to any of your training partners, can we start in this position? I'm working on this. But what I don't want to see in live training really, although I'll accept it with senior students, is stop what you're doing. What you need to do is this, because that should happen in specific training. That should happen in class. I think in the live training, that is our ability, that is the opportunity to, as this person's quite rightly put, to practice. And if the roles get stopped to keep giving someone information, they're actually not practicing, they're learning again. So 2 things, we want to give you the information, which is the class, and then an opportunity to test that a little bit, specific training. Live training is practice. And practice means quite often, I spoke about this yesterday in Nottingham, quite often you're going to fail. You're not going to be able to do it. If we stopped every time we failed and went, oh, no, what you should have done is, it won't work. So senior students, okay, I don't mind a bit of a conversation. Man, how did you do that? That was amazing. I haven't seen that before. But newer students, let's not get into this, because, I've seen it in academies. And we talked about blue belts a minute ago. Someone gets the blue belt, all of a sudden they're a teacher in jiu-jitsu, like in their mind, because they've got a different colour belt to the white belt. And so they're trying to tell the white belt what to do. And you haven't really grasped it yourself yet. So guard against that, I'd say, and just roll around and have fun.
Yeah. One of the things, like this July morning challenge, we've probably not communicated. Well, I've not communicated out because I'm leading on it. This is something I'd like to do, is like pretty much every month, and it's a way to galvanize people into different programs. So I already know what's happening in August. I'm going to keep it a secret, but
I don't even know what's happening in August.
It's super secret. And then maybe I don't know what's happening in September, but wink, wink. Maybe we could do something to incentivize live training, to get some people more into live training. I also think understand a bit of the target we're in, and just our membership demographic is generally we're not a bunch of 18 to 25-year-olds. It's more like 35 to 55 is the bulk of our members, and live training does take a toll on your body. So if we have 180 odd adult members that train 2 live trainings a week across a program with 30 odd classes, like sometimes it is going to feel very like there's few people in that class, especially when we do have certain classes that are way more popular, like Monday night live trainings are obviously really busy. That's probably going to take someone away from Thursday evening live training or something like that. So
I think this person as well perhaps is I'm just trying to think about what the point they're trying to, and I think that they're kind of saying that we should encourage people to live train more. And I think there's a nervousness for a lot of white belts around, just because they don't know what they're doing. So you say, okay, off you go. And they're like, well, I don't even know what to. It's like that classic thing Jordan Peters talks about. Like, people say they don't want any rules. It's okay, let's play a game. Well, what are we going to do? Well, there's no rules. You can do whatever you want. And no one starts because they don't know what to do. So we've got to just be careful here. We definitely want to encourage people, but it's a natural thing to be hesitant. What I would say to all white belts, and any student really, is just start small. Next time you're in, do 1 round. Go get a shower, go to work, no problem. Next week, I'm going to do 2 rounds. I'm going to do 3 rounds. I'm going to do 4 rounds. I'm going to build up. I'm going to do all 6 rounds. I know it's one of the goals on the back of Soaps Discard, actually, is to do all the live training rounds back to back. That's something you can build up to. You don't need to do 6 5-minute rounds on day one. Just start small.
Yeah, I think something that's popped into my mind as well from what you said, Mike, is knowledge dispels fear, right? So something we've been really hot on in the back end people aren't seeing is like our onboarding for new members coming in. But there's probably like a little bit of like an onboarding 30-minute video we could give to people after they get their first stripe, where it's like, okay, here is what live training is, and here's some basic rules, here's some basic concepts for you to go over, here's some, general what should you be doing, and that I think would dispel a lot of fear for people. So thanks, I will try and make that in the next couple of weeks.
I think if there's a bit of a guide, if you're unsure as a newer person to Jiu-Jitsu, kind of how much live training, how many classes, I kind of think like a 3-to-1 ratio or a 2-to-1 ratio is pretty good. So if you came to 2 classes and then you did a live training once a week, that's pretty good. If you come to 3 classes a week, you did 1 or 2 live training, that'd be amazing. What we don't want to do is see 1 stripe white belts doing 5 lots of live training and 1 GB1 a week, because you ain't going to get any better. You're just going to get fitter and stronger.
I feel so involved in the GBRL family. It's a staple part of my life, which provides me with routine and stability I need, especially through these tough, chaotic times. Thanks so much. I love all the morning classes. I'm happy with the time changes that are happening, as it does not affect me. What would make the morning classes even better would be a GB2 option, of course, yeah. The GB2 again, GB2. Someone's put it's a 35 to 40 minute drive to GBRL from my home, just saying. So,
well, we appreciate you coming, because you will, if you live 30 to 45 minutes away in a car, you're driving past multiple Jiu-Jitsu academies to come here. So we appreciate you.
This person says, I train judo as well as BJJ, and I believe that placing more emphasis on teaching the stand-up game will greatly improve everyone's overall ability. In doing so, people will become more confident in their stand-up game and not feel the need to resort to pulling guard quite so much. It will translate well into competition, but also self-defense situations. Not all self-defense situations need to go to the ground. Having the ability to throw or take an attacker down quickly and effectively in order to create space and time for people to disengage would prove to be very beneficial, in my opinion.
Totally. Do you know what? I was only thinking about this the other day, because there's a guy who used to train he trains over at Harrogate at Gracie Bar. There's a black belt in judo called Balash. You know Balash, yeah? And he's been teaching over at GB Appley Bridge as well. And I was going to speak, I'm seeing Professor Lewis on Monday. I was going to ask him about Balash and whether or not he could come and do even just 1 hour a week of specific judo as a judo black belt. We'd want a black belt to teach it. But I totally agree with this person. If we could find space for that in the programme, I think it'd be a welcome addition for everybody.
Yeah. I think we could do more to help bring the community together off the mats. I also think we should bring back the open chats more, as this really helped people in our community. Some interesting dates to maybe plan something around. The 10th of September is World Suicide Prevention Day, and the 10th of October it's World Mental Health Day. Also, if the weather improves, it would be good to have a GBRL picnic in Roundhay Park. It would be a great opportunity for new members to integrate better with people they may not train with.
Yeah, we did it last year. It pissed it down, didn't it? Or was it the year before?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, last year it was. So we will do it. This year. It's usually on the calendar. So, and there are a lot more community events coming in. It's something we will likely do on a monthly basis, and open chats. I think we differ on this. I wasn't a massive fan of open chats, especially because they always started out, anytime we bring in like a new thing like this, it tends to start out quite strong, but then peter off and die down. And if you've got the same 5 people come into something, then it's difficult for us as a service provider to always necessarily put that on. But I think, community events in general is something that we're definitely going to be supporting a lot more in the next, going forward.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, mate, but what I suppose the challenge I might make there on that is, if those 5 people see real value in that, because that is the time of the week where they get to see some friends, like it's kind of worth it. So I think there's a balance to be had there, isn't there? So we're not going to bring back an open chat every month like we had. We'll probably mix it up. Maybe we'll go for a walk. Maybe we'll go out for, I don't know, something to eat, whatever. But we want to bring it back. It's probably worth explaining at this point that just from a business point of view, we've invested a hell of a lot. In fact, we've invested everything we've got over the last 12 months to really improve our provision in scheduling for the kids and the adults and the academy, and we've got some more changes coming soon. We've just taken the decision to invest again to help us grow by bringing in another member of staff in. So we're going to have 2 program directors, and the internal program director will be purely focused on member experience, and part of their role will be to ensure that people have the opportunity to connect together off the mats. So you can absolutely expect to see more of this. It's a great point.
Second male toilet will be beneficial. More open mats, perhaps scheduled weekly. Open mats in the afternoons rather than the mornings would allow for greater inclusivity. A Sunday afternoon or early evening session will be useful. Reducing the kids' classes to 45 minutes without increasing the number of classes they can attend means they are paying more for less. So we've already addressed the kids point earlier. So if that person would like to see us talk about that. Second male toilet, we are putting a toilet in. So there is a big, like Mike just said, a big reinvestment into the academy going on, and part of that is refitting the men's changing room with a second shower and a second toilet, upgrading those facilities in there. So that is coming. More open mats. So maybe it's good to define the difference between what we think an open mat is and live training, because the timetable is packed with live training. For me, and I don't know how you see it, for me, open mat is a little bit more relaxed. You can feel free to have a chat on the side of the mat with your mate and sit around out. Live training is we're there kind of as a team to be working hard to get better at jiu-jitsu. It has a bit more of a structure to it, whereas open mat, if you're tired, just want to sit one out, cool. But like in live training, if you're tired and you sit one, I'm like, well, now this person can't train because you're being tired. Why don't you just go help them out? So it's...
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, mate. We kind of touched on the live training bit a moment ago, didn't we, about what we'd like to see, and that is people just rolling. Open mat definitely is more relaxed. We tend to run them on bank holidays, don't we, as a change to the schedule. I see the value in them to a degree, but what I've noticed over the years of training is if you put a lot of open mats on, because it's relaxed and people can do whatever they want, they just come to them and they stop coming to classes. They stop coming to live training, and all of a sudden they're just messing about. I mean, you don't really know what they're doing. So I see the value in it to a degree, but I think we'd already do them, probably as much as we need to. And in the Sunday training, I think that is the only day of the week we don't hold classes. I'd like to think in the future we will. We just need to make sure we can consolidate what we're doing right now before we move into that final day of the week.
Opening up the reorg room has been very beneficial for me. Thank you for this. I know this is probably being dealt with, but there seem to be a growing number of moaning comments in the girls' WhatsApp group. I'm concerned that these messages will put off the newer girls into the academy. They have slowed down a bit recently, but it's been on my mind as something that doesn't feel in line with the academy values. Also, a big shout out to Coach Mike B as well. His GB2 classes have been so good recently. I've loved them and have tried to shift my week around to make it to these sessions as much as I can.
Well done, Mike. Great feedback, thank you. Yes, well, we're aware of the comments in the groups. We speak about this stuff at our weekly meeting. You're right. People need the opportunity to be able to express how they feel, and I get that. But if it's wholly negative or damaging, then we don't want that. If you feel so strongly about a subject that you feel the need to be really constructive in your comments, or indeed negative, then you should speak to us directly. It's not a forum to, air your washing out in. It's a chance for people to keep connected as a community. So we have avenues for you to talk to me, T, Soaps, anyone you want, about specific things you're not happy with. We've got the MOT, of course. Let's keep the community chats to information coming out from us and conversation to keep everyone connected.
No complaints, but just thought I'd leave a suggestion as I love it at GBRL. The only reason I rated us a 4, not a 5 on maintenance and cleanliness is because I think the gent showers could do with a good bleaching and cleaning. There's a build-up of soap scum, and mould. maybe bring the squeegee back so members can use that after a shower to help. I have noticed the mats, although very clean, are starting to become a bit worn in spots, particularly the parts where they join together.
They are. We've just ordered 3 rolls of mat tape from Dolomer, £100 a roll, to come and patch that stuff up. I think the mats are still good quality. We use them a lot, but you have to accept a certain amount of wear and tear on them, I think. That's kind of normal. In terms of the gent showers, you're absolutely right. So medium-term solution before the end of September, 2 toilets in there, brand new shower, new cleaning room and kind of new configuration. That's definitely happening. So you'll have a brand new shower with a shower tray and all that kind of good stuff. So that's definitely happening. In the shorter term, Alberto, our cleaning wizard, was deep cleaning the showers once a month. Now, I spoke to him yesterday following this feedback, and we've increased the deep cleaning of those showers, which is a scrub of all the tiles, all the grout, clean of the inside of a drain to every 2 weeks. So that should hopefully have an impact on that experience. But it's a good point. We recognise it. We're going to change it.
More events would be great, or Sunday gym use would be great. Similar kind of thing we just mentioned. Love training, love the facilities, love the culture. No-gi is super fun with Sam. I really like the GB3 and no-gi warm-ups. The standard GB warm-up is good for beginners, but the movement drills are way better, and I am improving a lot by doing them. This training schedule is great, but I'll never be truly happy until there is training 7 days a week with classes morning, noon, and night.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, T and I differ slightly, I think, on the warm-up. You mentioned something in the team meeting. We'll probably talk about that separately, mate. But I think the GB warm-up is really important at GB1 because there's fundamental movements in there that you need to practice. And again, it's an opportunity to get better, right, in your hip escapes, because you'll require the fluidity of movement into GB2 and GB3 programs. In fact, we saw it this week. You know, people who can hip escape well off 1 foot can create the space they need to escape. If you can't do that and you're hip escaping off 2 feet, you might not be able to do it. I quite like the change in the warm-up for the different programs. Personally, in my GB3 classes, I like my students to flow roll because I think it's a skill in itself and it warms you up whilst doing jiu-jitsu, and that's ultimately what we're there to do. But I know you think slightly differently, don't you, T?
Yeah, I like the GB warm-up for it's very short and just gives me I like the fact that it's standardized amongst all the sessions, so you're not getting a different kind of so I do the GB warm-up on GB2, GB3. So a new person going into that program isn't worried about what they're going to have to do on the new new type of session, so they can go in and at least they've got the same kind of start. And for me, I think it's really easy to overrun on warm-up time because I try really, and as all the lead kids coaches know, because I'm always in their ear about it, like I'm really trying to be very hot on timings. And for me, it's really easy to overrun on your warm-up if you do other like drills. So for me, if I was Master Carlos, I would just warm up with drilling the moves that you're going to do in that day. Yeah. But on a pushback of that, I know many, especially the older members, like to have even if you just get equally as warm, they like the psychology element of having done a warm-up because there are aches and pains and injuries and things like that, and I totally get that. So for me, the quickest way to do that is just do the standard GB warm-up, 7 minutes, and we're into giving us as much class time as possible to cover my 3 techniques.
Yeah, well, we'll take this offline, we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
I mean, the flow roll I do at GB3 lasts for 5 minutes, so it gives us even more time, but let's discuss that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I would like to see more GBRL challenges as engaging in these have been fun. And I've met people in the morning sessions that I haven't met prior since joining the academy. So that's awesome. They're going to keep going. So thank you for the feedback. Earlier morning classes are great for me as it allows me to stay for live training during the week before I have to do the school run.
We're trialling that, right, to the end of July?
Yeah.
A 6:15 start twice a week.
FYI, lower hygiene rating is for the showers in the female changing room as it needs a deep clean. I checked over the showers and it's been done. So, but thank you for letting us know, and we'll keep a better eye on it. Sometimes the coach you sign up to train with differs from who's taking the class. Not a huge deal as the coaches are consistently great, but a potential area of focus in terms of experience and expectations and experience. And I totally agree with that. I think it can be a bit, it's just change, and people don't like change if they expect to get one coach and they get another. Well, I would say it's probably not something that, these coaches aren't full-time coaches. So for instance, Ben's covering the lunchtime class today, but we've not necessarily communicated that out to people. So I think what we can do is probably just communicate out better when there are like changes in the coaches that are leading the sessions. And that'll hopefully help those people. Amazing club, exceptional group of coaches and community. Dan and Ben really grown since last MOT. Frosty and Kev, great as always. Great to see Prof Mike on mornings. The only recommendation I could offer is to add a GB2 or Nogi to the morning classes for development of the morning only group. This is a great problem with so many morning classes now, which is great. Personal preference, keep morning classes to 6:30 a.m. Thanks as always all. Doing a great job as an adult member who brings kids too. I'm so grateful for the new kids timetable. Unbelievable improvement and value here. Cheers.
That's a great comment. Yeah, I committed to coming in once a week in the morning classes to see the students who come into those classes, but at the same time to support our coaches. So I'll continue to do that.
Similar kind of comment on having you in the morning classes. It would be awesome to have some better shower facilities. Again,
what's happening?
And I know who this is, but they've put in why they rated the community a bit lower, and it's just because they're a natural introvert. They say so they don't want to engage with the community as much, but they didn't want us to think that they rated us lowly for any other reason than that.
Well, that's fine as well. Like, everyone's here for a different reason. We've got to accept that. And that's a good thing because it creates a richness to the community. The person who's the kind of quiet they saunter in, they do the training, they disappear. Oh, good for you, man. If you're happy doing that, that's absolutely great. There's no requirement to show up to our events. There's no requirement to come to the summer gatherings. We'd like to see you, but do whatever's best for you.
All right, so I think that concludes all of our feedback for the MOTs. It was a bit of a mission, went a lot longer than we thought. But I'd just like to say thank you for everyone who took the time to give feedback. And you don't need to wait to the MOTs to give feedback. We're always trying to be as receptive as possible to, especially anything that's constructive. And yeah.
We discussed it at length as a team. Both the questions that we want to present to you guys and also then the responses. And in our team meeting this week, it took a large chunk of that to go through this. T and I obviously read them, Soaps reads them. We create summaries, Wade does that for us, and then we look at the individual comments. We absolutely take it seriously. And we're proud that we offer the opportunity for the people who train here to have a say in what happens. Because that you won't find that anywhere else in Jiu-Jitsu, really. I don't know anyone else who does this process. So it's fantastic for us to learn. Every time you suggest something that we know we can fix, we will fix it. And I hope you've seen that with the GB2 class in the morning, with the showers, with some other stuff. You've seen our continued investment in making this place even better than it already is. And just to finish off, just a huge thank you from me to everybody who's part of our team and part of GBRL. You guys make it. We can only provide the opportunity. It's for you guys to come in and, be those. We can be the architects of the culture of the community, but you guys have to be all the participants. So I very much appreciate you. And we're at 530 members at the moment. It's a huge school, huge school. Our ambition is to keep growing and to make this place, world renowned and you'll be a part of that as well. So see you soon.
Oos.